H.E.A.T here with Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin, I guess my first question is, we were in New York with you. Obviously, it was disappointing for the fans, but I'm just wondering, how disappointing was it for you? Because you missed the opportunity to fight Madison Square Garden as well.
Man, this has been a huge headache for me to deal with. I don't think I'll ever forgive myself for what happened down in New York. And it's been a huge headache. It's been it affected a lot of things, not just my professional life, my reputation, my personal life as well, and it's been a huge headache to go through, and a big struggle to go through these last few weeks, but I'm here and I'm trying to focus on the positive.
Well, and it is positive that you got on another fight just a few weeks later. That's great. For all the fans that were critical of you, is there anything, what happened in the camp that, maybe caused you not to make weight? Is there anything that...
Yeah. I mean, the main thing for me is I get too heavy outside of camp. Outside of camp, I was 40, almost 50 pounds overweight, over my weight class. And in the 8 weeks that I was in camp, I lost 35 of those of the weight. I lost over 35 pounds. I wasn't just sitting back eating burgers the whole time. I was trying to lose the weight that I had gained throughout, when I wasn't in camp. So it was just a matter of me not having enough time to lose all the overweight that I had, and it's my fault for being too overweight outside of camp, and I will never let that happen again. It's just a matter of being more professional outside of camp, and it hurt me. It hurt me big time. It hurt me financially. It hurt me personally. It hurt me in my personal life. It hurt my reputation. So this is something that I got to fix and that I will fix.
Over the years, we've seen you a lot. I mean, you're a good guy, a good character. So I'm wondering, was it that you thought you could make weight, or why didn't you notify Donald Cerrone's camp?
Right, I went into fight week with the intention of making the weight, for sure. I went in there with the intention of making the weight, and when I didn't, during the weight cut, my body just wasn't cooperating. My body just I wasn't sweating, I wasn't cutting any weight, and just decided to be like, nope, not this time. I was able to get away with it in the last few fights, but not this time. And my body quit on me, and it's something that I'll have to live with the rest of my life, because that was the biggest fight of my life in Madison Square Garden against Cerrone. I probably would have had a title shot if I won. I'll never forgive myself for it.
Will we see you go back to 170, or do you think 185 is just maybe better for your lifestyle?
I think if after I win and if I get a top opponent at middleweight, I think I could stay. But if they want to just keep me around at middleweight and give me, somebody that's not at the top 10 after this fight, then maybe I'll just go back down and try and work my way back up there.
Leading up to this fight, there were some cryptic tweets that you put out there. How confident were you that based on the suspension in New York, that you'd get this fight?
Well, I had talked to my management team. I was pretty confident. They were pretty confident as well. So I was just waiting on the news to be official, And it took a little while. I got a little scared at the beginning because there's all these things going on. But it finally got through. It finally came through. The suspension got lifted, and I was happy.
I just spoke to Tim a moment ago. He was saying, look, there's not a big difference between welterweight and middleweight. You're still a very dangerous fighter. I mean, you're ranked in the top 10 as a welterweight. Do you feel a difference? Do you think there's much of a difference, fighting middleweight? For you personally, with your athleticism?
Yeah, I think I'll be a lot more faster at this weight. I'll be faster than these bigger middleweights. I'll be a lot more mobile than these bigger middleweights. I think my mobility and my quickness will be a factor in this fight against these bigger middleweights.
And what are your thoughts on fighting Tim? Have you ever seen, he's got that television show, Hunting Hitler.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it? I mean, what are your thoughts of him as an opponent?
I don't really know much about him, to be honest. He's been out of the equation for the last 2 years, and I don't know much about him. All I did was study his last 2 fights, and they were good. I honestly don't know much about him. I can't say really much about him.
Now, you mentioned he's been out for a while. Do you think ring rust might have a factor in how he fights?
I think that could be a factor for sure. And also, he's fighting a younger, hungrier athlete. And he's I feel he's on his way out. I'm still up and coming, man.
In your career, just a couple questions, just in general. I'm wondering, what's the best piece of fight advice you've received over the years, just for other fighters who are, admire you and want to follow, becoming a UFC?
Well, a lot of people tell me, how do I get to the UFC? Well, man, I worked my ass off to be here, and that's what I tell everybody. Is like, you have to work hard. You have to bust your ass. There's no shortcuts. You just have to really bust your ass and win fights.
What's the worst piece of advice you've received?
The worst piece of advice? I don't know. I've gotten a lot.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Lastly, we're coming to the end of 2016. Obviously we know what your worst moment was, but what was the highlight of 2016 for you?
I guess it would be, the fighting and everything is cool, but I think it's just the people that I get to meet while I'm fighting and traveling around the world is the best thing that can happen to me. Is just meeting great people and doing great things, doing cool things, on top of the fighting. But I can't really put my mind on one thing.
So the traveling and the experiences.
Yeah, for sure. The experiences, the traveling, meeting new people. That's what I love about this. I love meeting great people and keeping those connections with those great people.
Of course, I enjoy traveling as well.
Absolutely.
And I actually do have one last question. You're fighting Tim. He just launched the Mixed Martial Art Athletics Association. Just curious what your thoughts are on that. Is that something you think you'd ever want to be part of? Do you think the fighters need something like that?
I think the fighters probably could benefit from it, for sure. They're fighting for more benefits for them, and they're doing the best they can for them. And I think they're just trying to do the best they can for them. For their own benefit. At the same time, it feels good that there's people out there trying to fight for benefits for the fighters. But I don't know if I'm ever gonna join them or anything like that. But it's nice to know that people are fighting for us.
It is, and for the media and the fans, we appreciate all of you guys do. So you definitely deserve to get rewarded for that.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. This is the hardest sport in the world, man. People don't realize.
Absolutely.
I'm just trying to do the best I can.
Absolutely. Good luck, Saturday. Thank you.